Welcome. Tonight we are going to be talking about transforming your relationship with food. You often hear me talk about body connection, not in a woo-woo way. I'm very not a woo person, but in terms of how to connect with how food makes you feel. So I'm going to run through that tonight. I'm going to give you a minute to come and join. I know I am a bit later this evening. It has been a busy day. It's been so busy. So if you're like, Julie, you're on live and you haven't come back to me yet, I will come back to your message after this. It has been a chaotic and busy day. All good stuff. Well, dental root canal wasn't so good, but I mean, it is good in a way because it's getting towards it being fixed. But yeah, that's the kind of day I've had. It's been a bit all over the place. And of course, if you catch me on the replay, hashtag replay. And for those of you who don't know me, I am Julie. I am the owner of Revive Fitness and Nutrition, helping women over 40 live healthier, stronger lives, whatever their goals are around weight loss, whatever the goals are around what healthy means for them and the things they want to do in the future. That's what I'm here for. Very personalized, very personalized. I don't do fad diets. I don't do injections. I don't do cleanses, none of that stuff. It's through eating real food and moving the body in a way that you enjoy and it works for you. All right, so let's dive into the topic I just mentioned. That can transform your relationship with food. And it can be the switch when it comes to weight loss, the thing that stops you eating things that aren't so good for you, that you snack on, but you just can't help yourself having them. Just maybe helps you think about it a little bit differently. So for many of us, like eating's become automatic. We eat because it's time to eat. I talk about this a lot with clients about breakfast time, lunchtime, dinner time. It's prescribed. Lunch is 12 till 2. You know, breakfast is before 9. Dinner is like 5 till 7, sometimes 8 for some people. But that whole thing about society says that's the times that you need to eat. And it can be really hard if you're someone who's had a super early breakfast and you're ready for lunch at 10 and you're out and about because everything in restaurants or cafes tends to be geared towards breakfast. So it's that whole thing about it's just become automatic in terms of when we're supposed to eat. And also there's food in front of us. It's like everywhere. Food is everywhere. Most of the high street shops now, supermarkets are full of food, obviously, but they sell you quick fixes as well as long-term things for taking home. And then around the supermarkets, you've got loads of bakers. I know certainly where I used to live, oh my God, I had about 10 bakers within a 1 mile radius and 3 Tesco's, an Aldi, a Lidl, several Greggs, Baines Bakers. So much different food options. It is everywhere. And then the fast food chains, the KFCs, the independents, the pizza. Oh my God, so much food just everywhere. And we can eat it because it's there in front of us and we're seeing it all the time. The adverts for it, we're seeing it. We become stressed, become bored. We use food for celebrating. Does any of that sound familiar to you? Do you feel like you're surrounded by food? And food is, yes, very social, but at the same time, you can eat it just because it's there, or you go around to a house or someone offers you something in the office. So I'm going to share with you a better approach, one that's going to help you truly listen to your body, and it's what body connection's all about. And like I say, it's not woo-woo, and it's not fad diets, it's not cleanses. It's really just about tuning into what your hunger cues are. So like I say, body connection is all about the natural signals your body gives us. So like hunger, fullness, cravings, using signals to guide you on how and when to eat. And it's that thing I say, like if you wake up and you're not that hungry for breakfast that day, don't force yourself to have breakfast that day. If you're like, oh, I'm not that hungry for breakfast, then don't have breakfast, then have lunch. Like tune in to what your hunger cues are telling you. If you end up having a later breakfast, say at 10 in the morning, and therefore you're not hungry at what is deemed lunchtime, 1 or 2, then don't have lunch. Wait till you have your dinner. So it's that whole thing about really just tuning into your fullness, your cravings, and your hunger and what it is telling you. It's the opposite of dieting, which tells you, like dieting typically tells you to ignore your body's cues or external rules. So dieting is about restricting you on when you eat, what you eat, the type of food. There's lots of labels for all the different diets. And this body connection that I'm speaking about is about trusting yourself, rebuilding a relationship with your body that's based on respect, understanding, care, rather than punishing your body, punishing yourself for what's deemed as bad foods, binging on bad foods, or starving yourself from when you're really hungry because you can't have that because it's not in your diet, or you're on the diet that you're only allowed 2 dates in the morning, but you're really starving, you want more than that, but all you've got for lunch is kale, right? So body connection is about actually connecting with your body in a mindful way, but also in a way that serves you and serves your body. You're looking after your body. Your body does a lot for you, right? We expect it to brave, our heart's beating, our brain's working, all the stuff that's going on right now, even just sat here, we take for granted. And this is about you building a relationship of respect with your body rather than punishing it because you're not happy with where your body shape maybe is right now. So I mentioned like about the body and its different functions, and the body is incredibly smart. It knows when it needs fuel, when it's had enough, and even which foods will help it feel best. So if you have something like, oh, I feel a bit rubbish and groggy after that, but you still keep eating it, you're punishing yourself and your body because you know actually that thing depletes your energy. I talk about this a lot with clients. Tune into what foods lift you up and give you energy and what foods deplete you. And that can be half an hour after eating it, it can be a couple hours, it can be maybe the next day. I know, for example, like fish and chips is such an institution in this country. I don't enjoy having a fish and chip supper. I really don't. One, I'm not that big fan of the chips. It doesn't fill me up because it's hardly any protein, and I feel awful the next day. Like I've got a chippy hangover. It's like awful. So that's what I mean by like tapping into what foods work for you and what foods don't. And I think we lose touch over time with these signals because, as I mentioned, diet culture is telling you what and how much you should eat. Emotionally eating, where we're using food basically to give us a bit of a pick me up to kind of numb our feelings rather than nourish ourselves, or simply being too busy and disconnected from even noticing what our body's saying. And I think this is also a big one where we are just disconnected from what our body's saying and we eat because that's what you're supposed to do at this time, and you're grabbing the quickest thing and you're not tuned into what makes you feel rubbish. For a lot of my clients when they've worked with me, we do a minimum nutrition side for 16 weeks. And after that time, and if say they go on holiday for a week, and I'm like, eat what you want, you're on holiday, go enjoy yourself. And they'll be like, oh my God, I feel awful, right? Because they've started to tune into what makes them feel good and what doesn't, and just reawakening that within themselves. Because when we're disconnected, we may overeat, undereat. And one of the big challenges I have with a lot of clients who want to lose weight is they're not eating enough food. And they're like, Julie, if you're going to give me all this food to eat, and I put on weight, I'm going to kill you. so it's that whole thing of trusting the process. So overeating, undereating, making food choices that just doesn't serve us. And it's like I mentioned about, like people like go and have cake. Do you want the cake? Cake is everywhere. Do you actually enjoy it? Starbucks Costa cakes, let's face it, they're dry, disgusting, and super expensive, but you'll have them because they're on offer there. And it makes me laugh that they won't serve you full sugar Coke, but they'll serve you this muffin with like amazing amount of sugar and calories in it. So it's that whole thing about like tuning into, do I want this thing? Do I actually want it? And how am I going to feel afterwards? And I'm not talking about beating yourself up, going, oh my God, I ate that 600-calorie muffin. Oh, I'm a disaster. I can't eat healthy. I'm talking about where your energy's at, what lifts you up and what makes you feel rubbish after it. People would say to me, oh, Julie, you're so healthy. You're so healthy. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just not having that thing because I don't want to feel like rubbish. Nobody can argue for that. So like, have the donut, have the sweets, you're being too healthy. I'm like, no, I'm choosing not to have that thing because I don't even feel like crap, because I'm going to feel like a total sugar crash and feel like I have to go to bed. So honestly, listen to your body. So reconnecting with your body doesn't happen overnight, right? I'm not saying it's easy. I am nearly 10 years in, but it's absolutely possible. So I'm going to give you 3 steps to get you started. First up, pause and check in. What do I mean by that? So before you eat, pause for a moment and just check in. Am I physically hungry? Or is this emotional hunger, particularly around snacks? Now, I know if I'm craving crisps, it's not because I'm hungry. So maybe I want the stress relief. It's maybe the emotional side of it. I want to chomp down on the crisps. And I'll be like, afterwards, I feel like crap because I've eaten a whole crap bag of crisps. But I know it's not because I'm hungry, because I've had my protein, I'll have my veg, I'll have my water, I'll be hydrated. I'm not hungry. So that's what I mean. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes you go to the supermarket absolutely starving and you go for the poor quality food. That's why you shouldn't go to the supermarket when you're hungry. But really tune in, am I physically hungry or is this emotional hunger? And how does my body feel right now? Is it feeling tight and stressed? And I'm looking for that release, or am I quite relaxed in what choices I'm making? Because depending on your emotional state also depends on your choices. So again, that's where comfort food comes in, right? So if you're feeling a bit low, a bit sad, a bit fed up, then you might want something that's more comforting, but not necessarily the healthiest option for you. And what type of food sounds satisfy and nourish you? So the crunchy and crisp I mentioned is great for a stress reliever. Might be biting the heads off the jelly babies if you had a bad day at work. Imagining there's some people like just tune in, like that fizz of fizzy drink or that sugar rush. If you're feeling low in energy, that's where fizzy drinks can give you that boost. The coffee can give that false boost of energy. Same with alcohol. How many people use alcohol to unwind at the end of the week or the evening? And it also gives you a false energy boost. It numbs you, switches you off, gives you a false energy boost. So you end up staying later than intended. And then the next day you wake up and you feel a bit rubbish. So this quick check-in just helps you to think about your choices and your body needs and also your goals and where you want to be too. Now, you've probably heard of mindful eating, where you focus on what you're eating rather than just right? Love mindful listening, especially in front of telly or the screen. And mindless eating goes on and just that chomping, chomping down. We all recognize it. But when you actually don't have a TV or screen on, pay attention to what you're eating. Take smaller bites, chew slower because again, if you're working at your desk, you're chomping down quickly, and notice the flavors and the textures and how your body responds. So you'd be like, actually, do I enjoy this? Is this tasty? If I'm not going to enjoy it, the chances are I'll eat it, but then I'll be seeking something else because I'm not enjoying it. And are you feeling more energized and satisfied as you eat? Do you feel, oh, this is full, I'm enjoying it, it's tasty, I feel like it's giving me energy? Or are you eating it and looking at it and going, this is a really bland plate of food, I'm not enjoying this, I'm going to need something else afterwards? A bit of ice cream, a bit of chocolate, a bar of chocolate, whatever that might be. And honor your fullness. Pay attention to when your body's satisfied and not stuffed. If you are from the generation like me where you were forced to sit at the table until you finished everything on your plate and you'd be crying, I don't want it, I don't want it. That was me anyway. Then you've learned to empty your plate. So pay attention to when your body feels satisfied and not stuffed. And if you're not used to doing this, it'll take practice. If you're used to being the one that finishes everyone else's leftovers, eats everything on the plate, because it feels like actually you can't waste food, then tune into that. What is it that's driving you to stuff yourself? There's a difference between feeling full and feeling stuffed, okay? And the feeling of stuffed is that discomfort, that bloating, versus, oh, I've had a meal, I feel quite full, I feel satisfied. Not, I've had a meal, I feel stuffed, bloated, I don't even want to move. There's a big difference. Tune into that. All right. So you're saying, oh, it's fine in the world, Julie. That's fine talking about all this stuff. But what about cravings? How can I stop my cravings? Well, cravings are part of the natural body connection and they're not a bad thing. I think they've been marketed as a bad thing, something to fight instead of get curious about. So part of body connection is to get curious about the cues that are coming from your body. So is the craving physical, like your body asking for energy or a specific nutrient? Now I say this because the body, like I said, is very intuitive. And quite a lot of time people aren't eating enough protein. So what will happen is your body's seeking protein but doesn't know what food is in the where it's going to get the protein from, is what I'm trying to say. It doesn't know, that muffin versus chicken breast. It's just going to tell you to eat. And chances are, if it's craving protein, you're going to go for the quickest source, and a muffin's probably on point. Whereas a chicken breast, you're then going to cook it, prepare it, do something with it. So listening to the cravings, what is it? I do have a few clients who experience cravings for vegetables after they've been off-piste a bit, and they find that they're craving certain vegetables. If you've been away on holiday and there's certain foods that you've not had for a few weeks and you come back and you're really craving that food. So that's your body like asking for energy or a specific nutrient. Or is it emotional, like a desire for comfort or distraction, as we've mentioned, and we can come associate with that. You can be known as the person who loves chocolate. And it's like, well, do you actually love chocolate, or has it become part of your identity because that's what you use to give yourself a pick-me-up? And you've told yourself that to justify having the chocolate, when actually you're like, I'm going to talk about, I don't like to just small businesses, but there is a business that's famous in Edinburgh for cakes. And their cakes have gone downhill in quality. They're awful, but people still queue for them. And there's nothing good about them or tasty about them. And people say, oh, I love that brand of cake. And I'm like, do you really though? You know that thing, people get caught up in trends and stuff and they say they enjoy something because they feel like they should. Or you see them queuing around a baker's because they've got the latest craze of donut. And everyone's like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's like, if you set yourself apart from that, go, actually, is it really? Or am I just looking to connect with people? Am I looking for distraction or comfort, or to say I've had that thing, but I didn't actually enjoy it? So when you tune in, you can either honor the craving in a way that feels good or find another way for your emotional needs. Sometimes, if you have that craving for that chocolate, that biscuit, that cake, whatever it is, I say to my clients, have it. Have it if you're craving it, because if you don't have it, it'll build up even more and more, and then you're more likely to overindulge in that food. I had clients say, Julie, why did you let me have the donut? I feel awful. Because that way, you then tuned into how it makes you feel, right? not in terms of beating yourself up emotionally, but how it makes you feel physically within your body, and that food type you now know doesn't actually work for you going forward. So you know when you get faced with a donut, you kind of go, do I want that? No, I don't want to feel like crap. And some days you'll go, yeah, I do want it. So I'm going to have it. If I'm going to feel like crap afterwards, I'm going to own it. So both of them are okay. It's not bad. It's just about tuning into it. So when you practice body connection, what it means is you'll just enjoy food without guilt. Okay, so like say you'll own your choices, you'll know if you're going to feel bad. If not, you'll choose that. You get to choose your energy for the next half hour, 2 hours, the next day by the choices you make. Naturally, you will make healthier choices because you're listening to your body and to your energy and going, I don't want to feel like crap, or I'm just going to own it. And feel more confident and control around food. You know, I've said that about, say people saying to me, oh, Julie, you're so healthy, you're so good. And I'm like, no, I just don't want to feel like rubbish. And not being afraid to say that. And if you're meeting friends, you know, somewhere for dinner, or there's food that you just don't really enjoy, or you don't want to eat that thing, just say, oh, like, I'm not really into that. Can we go and meet somewhere else, or can we have something else, and have that discussion? Or if you've got a friend who wants to, you know, sit in front of the telly and have a load of snacks around and bring all the chocolate and the biscuit, say, like, I'm not really into that because I'm going to feel a bit rubbish. Can we do something alternative and bring a bit of fruit to mix it up? You know, how many meetings people bring the biscuits? Why don't you bring the fruit and then you stick to the fruit? If people don't want it, that's fine, but be comfortable in choosing your health over fitting in, conforming with other people. And that's not saying that you're becoming a health freak or being super healthy. It's just making choices that are right for you. So more importantly, you're going to stop seeing food as an enemy and start seeing it as a way to nurture your body and not punish your body. All right, so to summarize, team, body connection doesn't happen overnight. It is about tuning into the body cues. It's not a woo thing. It absolutely is not. It can be done, but it's about tuning in, and it's about learning to trust yourself and your body again, one step at a time. Tune into your hunger, your cravings, the food you're having, what lifts you up, what drags you down, and just get curious with it. So start small. And so the next time you eat, pause, check in, notice how your body feels, and with practice, you'll build connection, and that's natural and more intuitive to you as it's meant to be. And that's where you'll stop putting labels on things on like, oh, I fast, or I'm this sort of diet, or that sort of diet. You're just intuitively eating the food that feels good for you, eating at the times that work for you on any given day where you're on your hormone cycle, and actually working with your body instead of against it. That is the main thing. Life is to be enjoyed. Food is social. The two can come together, but it's about doing it in a way that works for you by just listening to your body. As I say, I'm kind of 10 years down that line, but it can be done. All right, team, thank you for joining me today. If you're curious about exploring this further or you need support in your journey, then let me know. I'd love to help you reconnect with your body, rediscover the joy of eating. And as my kind of tagline is on my website, food isn't just about what you eat, it's about whole of life. And I really am passionate about helping my clients reconnect with the food that lifts them up, the food that doesn't, without cleanses, without fad diets, none of that nonsense, just eating whole, real food with your teeth. And that's how you get the energy, and that's how you can maintain long-term healthy weight, and that's how you have the energy to do all the things you want to do in life, and whatever that means for you in your lifestyle and your goals. All right, team, enjoy yourself, sleep well, and